everybody. Thank you for coming to the opening of our second annual honors seminar, fashion exhibition. I'm Dr. Best, and I'm the director and curator of the ISU Textiles and Clothing Museum. And these are the students who are going to present their final project today. I'm so thrilled that we have this wonderful audience. And if you don't know, you're in the Textiles and Clothing Museum right now. This is where we actually have our class, and we just transform it into our presentation room also. So without further ado, I'm gonna hand it over to Ella.
Thank you all for viewing our presentation on our exhibit at the Iowa State University of Textiles and Clothing Museum, titled, Woman Didn't Always Wear Pants, Freedom Through Fashion. The Textiles and Clothing Museum was founded in 1924 and primarily serves as a teaching tool in the apparel and merchandising design curriculum at Iowa State University and to the campus at large. Our exhibition features objects exclusively from the ISU Textiles and Clothing Museum permanent collection. The collection has over 8,000 objects from the 18th century to present with representation from around the globe. This project is a student-led initiative. 7 undergraduate students in the second ever honors seminar, Fashion Museums and Social Justice, in spring 2023, conceptualized, curated, and expelled the exhibit. In a single semester, we worked collaboratively on 4 teams: writing, graphics, installation, and documentation, opening media, and media.
Presenters today include myself, Elena Escalada, majoring in architecture, Hamelynn Harzman, majoring in biology, Quinn Kelly, majoring in public relations and communication studies, Olivia Ovrom, majoring in interior design, Scheflen, majoring in animal science, Joslyn Sperry, majoring in anthropology, and Ella Townsend, majoring in genetics. Our faculty advisor on this project is Dr. Best, who is an associate professor in apparel merchandising and is also the director and chief curator of the museum. Before we begin, we want to acknowledge those who have previously taken care of the land on which we gather. Before the site became Iowa State University, it was the ancestral lands and territory of the Pecojay or Iowa Nation. The United States obtained the land from the Meskwaki and Sauk nations in the Treaty of 1842. We wish to recognize our obligations to this land and to the people who took care of it, as well as to the 17,000 Native people who live in Iowa today. Pants are common in women's wardrobes in the 21st century, yet this was not always the case. In this exhibition, we explored North American women's fashion, specifically when they began wearing pants in connection with their societal roles in the 19th and 20th centuries. We highlight how clothing, accessories, and shoes reflect shifting views and expectations of women with a focus on form, function, space, and movement of the body. Our exhibition has 5 looks, representing different decades from the 1890s to the 1980s. In the late 19th century, a woman's place was largely in the home, and her dress reflected this status. North American women's fashion in the 1890s, such as the ensemble on display, was characterized by exaggerated silhouettes, a small waist, and voluminous skirts. That, in part, aimed to emphasize and hide the health of the woman's figure. Women were expected to wear dresses. Pants or shorts were largely deemed inappropriate, if not highly scandalous. Women's dresses and skirts had many feminine features, such as ruffles and pleats.
Underneath bodices, they wore a tight corset, like the one that we have on display and is pictured here. Corsets offered support, yet limited movement of its wearer. Poorer women were expected to partake in manual physical labor, which required much shifting and moving of the body. These lower class women may have worn modified corsets or no corset to complete their tasks. Thus, restricted movement was a symbol of wealth and prosperity.
Despite these and other restrictions, the 1890s experienced advancement for some women, although almost exclusively white women. For example, in 1890, women activists formed the National American Women's Suffrage Association, forging a path for women's eventual right to vote, specifically white women first in 1920 and then later including women of color in 1965. In the early 20th century, societies largely still expected women to run the household, take care of the children, and serve their husbands. However, many women participated in suffrage protests and joined the workforce with the advent of World War I, such as the women telephone operators pictured here. During this time, women's shifting fashions began to focus on softer silhouettes, allowing for more movement. Unbifurcated garments such as skirts and dresses were still expected, yet there were many more garments where women could more easily move their bodies. Additionally, the color white became the choice for the Women's Social and Political Union, inspiring many women activists in the U.S. to wear all white, such as the 1917 dress on display.
World War II marked a turning point in American women's societal roles in fashion. Due to war efforts, government officials imposed restrictions on clothing materials, leading to an increase in upcycling old clothes and altering men's suits into women's suits. While women's husbands, sons, brothers, and fathers fought in the war, millions of women took over traditionally male-dominated and male-exclusive jobs. Further, former President Harry S. Truman signed the Women's Armed Services Integration Act into law in 1948, enabling women to serve as full, permanent members of the U.S. Armed Forces. Pictured here is a World War II women's uniform. The 1940s military uniform on display reflects women's new roles in society outside of the home. Additionally, the structured, masculine silhouette of the uniforms convey their new authority. Yet, also of note is that these women wore skirts with their blazers, thus continuing a tradition of women predominantly wearing skirts and dresses. At this time, pants were worn by very few women and still not readily acceptable throughout society.
In the 1960s and early 1970s, many women engaged in second-wave feminism as they sought equitable rights, opportunities, and personal freedom. Bell-bottoms were one of the iconic clothing pieces in the 1970s worn by people of all genders, including women. Black youth helped popularize bell-bottoms across the globe when they paired them with other garments reflecting Black activism and identity. Bell-bottoms symbolized loudness and were worn by people that wanted to be seen and heard. The wide flared hemline of the pants, such as the ones on display, were a fashion statement worn by second-wave feminist women, members of the Black Panther Party, and allies of other counterculture movements. It was during this period that women wearing pants became more palatable in society. Initiatives in the late 1970s and 1980s by the Department of Labor, such as promoting employer-sponsored childcare and the Pregnancy Discrimination Act of 1978, which prohibited discrimination on the basis of pregnancy, childbirth, or related medical needs, led to more women than ever before entering the workforce.
Despite these radical changes, women still experience much discrimination, and thus some use dress to assert authority. That is, women adopted suits, like the ensemble on display, with crisp pants and blazers with excessively large shoulder pads to literally take up more space in the boardrooms or professional positions. which is a style referred to as power dressing. The sharp lines and boxy silhouettes, including pants that characterize much of women's fashion in the 1980s, reflect a traditionally masculine aesthetics. Purposefully adopting masculine coded styles was one way to use dress to influence how others perceive women and their position, power, and authority in their various societal roles. In closing, fashion has played and continues to play a critical role in women's everyday lived experiences. Through this exhibition, we highlighted the ways fashion interconnects with women's societal roles in the 19th and 20th centuries. The 5 looks act as a collective signs and symbols of women's roles in society. Here is a view of the final exhibition installed in the Donna Gallery in Morrill Hall here at Iowa State University. This exhibition would not have been possible without the support of the museum in various ways. Thank you to the Honors Program. Thank you to the support of the Apparel, Events, and Hospitality Management's Department Chair, Dr. Linda Neeb. And also thank you to the Reinhardt Endowment. Their funding to the museum provides the opportunity for high-impact learning experiences, such as this undergraduate student-curated exhibition, so that we can purchase the equipment and materials needed to support the TCM. Without that support,